How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Fu Show. I'm your host, Coach Ali Fusho. In today's episode, I want to talk about the top three movements that I believe every single beginner should be doing in the gym. Of course, this is my own personal opinion. A lot of people might want to contest this, and that's perfectly valid because it's hard to really just pick three movements. We have thousands, hundreds or thousands of exercises that anyone can do. But I believe that there are three movements that every beginner should prioritize. Of course, there are variations to every movement, but I believe that I have for you today the three exercises that every beginner should really prioritize in the gym. So much so that I feel like if you're a beginner and you do anything outside of these movements, it's not a waste of time. Okay, I was trying to make something such a bold claim, but every movement has merit to it. It's just that I believe that these three exercises can grant you the most benefit in the shortest amount of time. So if you're somebody who wants to progress as fast as possible, I think you should really consider these three exercises. The very first one is the inverted row. Now, my preferred variation of the inverted row is to do so with some suspension straps or suspension. Yeah, I guess suspension straps is the generic term for this piece of equipment, more popularly known by the brand of TRX. I know there are a lot of other brands like Jungle Gym, I think, or Rip 90, Rip 60, something like that. Those are suspension suspension straps. You can strap it onto your squat rack, like a rack I'm in right now. You can strap it onto any railing or like a playground. If you have access to a playground, strap it there. And I know there's a door strap that you can attach it to your door, like in your bedroom door. So you can strap it and then do the inverted row there. Now, why would I pick the inverted row? There are actually many reasons to go about it. The first one that I want to mention is that your upper back, whether or not you are a beginner, intermediate, or advanced athlete, you need to have a very strong upper back. I know some people might not want to prioritize this aesthetically because a lot of people want to prioritize the mirror muscles. Mirror muscles are the muscles that you see in the mirror. So that would be your chest, your shoulders, I guess your arms because it's easy to flex, especially if you're in the beach. Those are your mirror muscles. The inverted row works on the back, which is not your mirror muscles because it's not easily seen in the mirror. So you're going to work on your lats, your rear delts, your traps, so everything. There are a lot of small muscles in our upper back. And now more than ever, do we really have to prioritize strengthening our upper back because everyone's posture during this pandemic, during these past 2 years, since majority of us were working from home, you're probably scrunched down, rounding your upper back while you're working on your laptop or doing whatever. Even if you were like a driver, texting, student, writing, you're probably going to have poor posture if you're sitting down on a chair for 8 to 12 hours a day. So to counter that, we have to strengthen your upper back. Now you might be wondering, oh coach, but there are a lot of other very, very high potential or good quality movements for the upper back. So we have the, I would say, lat pull down. We have the cable row, the single arm dumbbell row, the bent over barbell row. All of those are great. They will target the exact same muscle groups. So why would I pick the inverted row above everything else? So the inverted row, to the people who are watching this on YouTube, probably a while ago I showed a short video on how the inverted row looks like. As you would do it, you would realize that this is a full body weight exercise. And for beginners, I firmly believe that working out or working with body weight exercises is going to be one of the best things that you can do if you're really after general fitness, general strength, general cardio capacity, and just overall a good feel for your body. I feel like the inverted row is a really, really great way to go about it. And it's really scalable and it's very beginner friendly. You can start out by being very, very upright. You can set the strap to a shorter strap length And then when you row it, it's going to feel like nothing. If you want to make it harder, what you can do is lengthen it by like what, 3 or 5 centimeters. If you get stronger there, lengthen it even more, or you can adjust your footing. Whatever it is, there are tangible ways on how to progress with the inverted row. You can start out very upright and then progress to be a bit more diagonal and then progress to be a bit more vertical, where it's like you're rowing your body straight up and down already. It's a great way to build your upper back. It's a great way to build your grip strength. And for a lot of beginners, grip strength is super duper important because a lot of people just don't grip heavy things. And if you slowly get stronger and stronger, you lower your angle for the inverted row, your upper back and your grip strength will definitely increase. And this is the final reason on why I love the inverted row for beginners is because once you get really, really strong, and of course that can depend the duration on how to be really, really strong or like to be really low on the ground for the inverted row. It can vary from person to person, whether that be their weight or just their overall genetics, because the heavier you are, the harder it is to progress for this movement. But down the line, whether it be like 3 months, 6 months, or a year of doing this, the inverted row, you are going to set yourself up to be so much stronger to be able to do your first pull-up. And a lot of people, a lot of beginners specifically, they are not able to do their first pull-up or 1, 2, or 3 pull-ups. Doing the inverted row multiple times a week for months and months and months will definitely grant you the strength, both in your upper back, your arms, and your grip strength, to be able to lift yourself up. Because the pull-up is obviously a body weight exercise, and there are many ways to get better or to get stronger for the pull-up, but the inverted row is going to be the most beginner-friendly way there is. There are so many ways to go about it. There are so many variations of each movement, but I believe that for your upper back or for your upper body, specifically the upper back, the inverted row with the suspension straps is the best way to go about it if you're a beginner who wants to start working out. Again, if you have a specific goal that you want to be the strongest powerlifter or a bodybuilder, or like the biggest bodybuilder, there are different movements that might benefit you more. But if you're a beginner who's into just getting into the game of working out, building a more active lifestyle, hands down, I see that the inverted row is the superior movement. All right, so that's the first one. A very, very long explanation on the inverted row. I could have just said, just do the inverted row, and that would have done it. But if you wanted to understand the rationale on why the inverted row is, why I believe, my personal opinion, that the inverted row is the superior movement, that's something for you to consider. The second movement is going to be the antagonist or the opposite of the inverted row, which is going to be the push-up. Some people might be wondering, what the push-up, like that's so anticlimactic, like there's nothing really special about it. But that's precisely why we want to do the push-up, because there's nothing special, there's nothing really advanced about it quite yet. It's the most, I would say, probably the most popular or like commonly known movement, because it's what everyone tries to do it when they're kids and elementary PE, high school PE. Everyone knows it. But not everyone can do it properly. Hence, if you want to get stronger in your upper body, aside from doing the inverted row, I believe that you really have to perfect your push-up. Because trust me, I've coached hundreds of people who told me in our initial assessment, coach, I can do around, I can do 5, I can do 10, I can do 20 push-ups. But then when I when I tell them to, sige na, I tell them, show me your push-ups. The form is probably, or like the form that I've observed, it's not the cleanest. It's not full range. Their hips were going up and down. Their elbows were flaring. So the push-up is also a really, really great movement because it builds up your overall upper body strength to handle your own body weight. So whether or not you're a heavy guy or like a average size guy, you getting better in the push-ups is going to make you feel so much stronger. Now, you might be wondering, oh, coach, I can't do push-ups on the floor yet. Well, that's the beauty of the push-up, because there are ways to regress this movement. When I say regress, I do mean just to make it easier. Now, how do we make the push-up easier? My preferred way to go about this is to do the incline push-up. If you have access to a squat rack or a power rack or even a Smith machine, set the bar at roughly, depends per person, because of course we all start out with different strength levels. You can start out with roughly hip width or maybe even belly button height. You set the barbell there, and then do your push-ups from that range of from that height, and make sure that you're doing it with a full range of motion. You have to make sure that it's always full range, because if you don't go all the way down and all the way up, you're probably not going to get quality results. Again, quality work produces quality results. So make sure from the get-go of things, you have to make sure that the quality of your reps are as top quality or as high as can be. All right. So similar with the inverted row, start out pretty upright. Then as you get stronger, you go lower and lower. Specifically for the incline push-up, go get stronger at this height. After a few sessions of that height, go lower by 4 to 5 cm or 2 to 3 inches, whatever you want. And then through the weeks, through the months of doing the incline push-up, you can just go down, down, down until you're strong enough to do it on the floor. Now, similar to the inverted row, people will progress at different rates. Some people can probably do a push-up on the floor in 2 weeks. Some people takes 2 months. Some people close to a year. We're all different. We're all coming from different backgrounds. But if you get better at the push-up, the mirror muscles that I mentioned a while ago, so namely the chest, the shoulders, and a bit of your arms, you will get stronger. You will develop them. They will be stronger aesthetically and performance as well. Another reason on why I love the push-up is because at the same time, without you really thinking about it, it's also a core movement to some extent. Of course, it's not the most intense core movement, but your core is still being worked on. You might be wondering how. Well, if you were to look at the push-up as what it is, you are basically in the plank position the entire time. The moment that your hands are there and you're in that plank push-up position, it's also, the push-up position is basically the plank. While you're doing that, going up and down, so of course you might start high, then go low. Not only will your arms and chest get stressed more, but as well as your core. So it's a very multi-benefit, multi-purpose movement. You get a stronger upper body and you get a stronger core. So another reason why I love the push-up among other different pressing movements. So great movements such as the dumbbell overhead press, barbell overhead press, bench press, dumbbell bench press, the chest press, all of those. Again, every movement is great. Every movement can grant you some merit or some progress or development. But the reason why I love the push-ups is because it's the one that, in my personal experience as a lifter and coaching my other clients, a lot of people have shoulder, elbow, wrist issues that can be found or aggravated with doing those barbell or dumbbell movements. Most of the time, push-ups will not stress those joints because you are now freeing up your shoulders to move however it wants, or not necessarily however it wants, but it can move freer or like move freely, as opposed to the classic example, barbell bench press. Ideally, you wouldn't want your shoulders to go up and down as you're pressing the bar up and down. You'd want to keep your torso, your upper back planted and rooted on the bench. So a lot of people are able to do that really well, but there are a number of people, primarily the general population, that cannot do that pain-free. So we don't have to be married to the bench press. We can now move over to the push-up. You might be wondering also, okay, coach, that's all great, but what happens when I'm able to do 5 or 10 or 15 push-ups on the floor? How do I progress from there? Do I go to the bench press? Yeah, you can. That's definitely an option. I want to remind you that this video is for the absolute beginner. I'm not saying that these are the only 3 movements that you should be doing for the rest of your life. these are just the movements that I believe will grant you the most progress at the fastest rate possible. So back to that question, or back to that potential issue, is that okay, what if you're so good already in push-ups? The first option is you can now experiment with whatever movement, bench press or dumbbell press, that you want. But if you really want to, if you enjoyed the push-up and you still want to progress to some extent, what you can do is to do weighted push-ups. This is also possible for the inverted row and the pull-ups, but to specify for the push-up, you can wear a weighted backpack, a weighted vest, or if you have a gym buddy, or if you have a coach, that coach can put the weight on your backside, and then that's what's going to make the reps so much harder. Trust me, like if you can do 15 reps of bodyweight push-ups and you add 25 pounds on your back, you are going to feel the difference. It's really good. It's a great way to progress, and now you can aim, for example, if you started out with 25 pounds, then maybe you can progress with 30, 35, and you get stronger and stronger. Obviously, I want to say that there is going to be a limit on how comfortable weighted push-ups will be. I've seen videos of people doing 90, 135 pounds on their body, and they're able to successfully do push-ups. That's great and all, and they're jacked as much as possible. They're really huge. But I feel like logistically it might be harder to set up. You can get it done, but the setup is probably gonna be too impractical to try to do it every set. Imagine if you're gonna do 4 sets of 90 pounds, then your gym partner is probably the one that's gonna be so tired to set it up for you. But again, this video is for beginners, and it's gonna take so long for you to be able to do weighted push-ups with 90 pounds. So that's why the push-up, starting from the incline push-up all the way down, is what I believe to be the best upper body pushing movement, and that's why it's part of my top 3 movements for absolute beginners. So we started with the inverted row, which is an upper body pull, and then we just talked about the push-up and all its variations, and that's obviously an upper body push. So we gave love to the upper body already, so obviously the third movement is going to be a lower body movement. Now there are I'm pretty sure a lot of you have some idea already on what I'm going to be talking about. Is it going to be the deadlift? Is it going to be the squat? Actually, you might have guessed it already. It is going to be the lunge. Specifically, I love the walking lunges as a movement. I hate performing it. My clients hate performing it. Whenever I tell them to do it, they always roll their eyes because they know that it's not the most fun exercise. It's actually one of the most tiring ones, but in exchange, it's definitely one of the best ones. When I say best, it gives them the most bang for your buck. In Filipino, it's the most sulit movement that you can do because, again, performance-wise, it grants you so much benefit. Aesthetic-wise, it also grants you so much more benefit. And there's a lot of ways to tweak the lunge and a lot of ways to tweak the... I guess I'll stick with lunges and not specify walking lunges because there's so many great variations of them. So again, performance and if we were to talk about the performance side, I do mean both in and out of a sport, because a lot of people when it comes to talking about performance, we're always talking about it, thinking about it in a sport specific manner, which is true. But I also want to mention that performance-wise for non-athletes, it's going to help with just general health overall. The number one reason why I want that I placed the lunge as one of my top 3 movements is because it is a unilateral movement. Unilateral basically means one side at a time, as opposed to bilateral, which is 2 sides at a time. So movements that are 2 sides at a time in the lower body are the squat and the deadlift. I guess let's just use those examples when you're using both sides of your body symmetrically at the same time, as opposed to the lunge variations where you're really going to be prioritizing, or one leg will be working more at each rep. Of course, there are alternating ones. So that's basically the number one reason why I love the lunge, because unilateral movements give so much more benefit. I mean, they're both great. Again, I don't want people to say that, oh, unilateral coach said that unilateral movements are great. So I should only be doing unilateral movements. No, because that's gonna make it too complicated. You don't have to make it. In other words, just keep it simple. The only unilateral movement that I continuously promote is going to be the walking lunge for the lower body. The reason why it's so great performance-wise outside the gym is because it makes sure that at its best, it's going to try to address a lot of our asymmetries. Obviously, as we grew up, we are one side dominant. This goes for both upper body and lower body. But for the lower body, a lot of people have an aching back, one side, or an aching knee or hip. So we normally, and of course, this is apart from genetics or you have a bad joint history, etc. Well, working it out, working our legs unilaterally, one side at a time, at its best, we'll try to really fix that issue. Wherein we're gonna make sure that as we do these lunges, you will be developing, strengthening each leg at the same pace, and not trying to or not accidentally making one side compensate for the other. For example, a scenario that I've seen in the past is that when somebody squats, again, this is not for everyone, but there are scenarios that when somebody squats down and up, they lean or they shift their body weight towards one side. And that's because that side is probably stronger in the glutes, in the legs, or whatever reason it is. There are instances that one side is stronger. How can we address that without really thinking about it so much? By just doing, or by primarily doing, unilateral movements, hence the lunge. Now, another great reason why I love this is because it's easily scalable. There's a good sense of progress. So if we are going to talk about, let's talk about the walking lunge to keep it straightforward. If you're an absolute beginner and both your mobility and strength are lacking, what you can do is half rep or like partial reps of the walking lunge. So what I mean by that is that you're not going to lunge as deep or as low as possible. Instead, you can do a half rep lunge, stand up, do the other leg, half rep lunge, stand up. So that's for the extreme case wherein both mobility and strength are not there. But as that person, again, we're talking about beginners here, but as that beginner gets stronger, gets more mobile, more flexible, they'll be able to go lower and they'll be able to do it much more balanced. I guess balance is also a huge thing about the walking lunge, is that it really does test the person's coordination when you're doing the walking lunge, because you don't want to shift left and right. You don't want to fall in your butt left and right, right? So start out with body weight, and as you get stronger, you can add weight, dumbbells, barbells, medicine ball, kettlebell, anything. You can hold it like this in front of your chest. That's the goblet style, or you can do it by holding one dumbbell per hand. That's the regular dumbbell variation. You can hold one dumbbell on one hand when the other one is free. Then you can change it up. There's so many ways to load the walking lunge, and that's why it's great. And it's also the reason why I love all of these movements. The sense of regression and progression is very much real, and it's very much obvious. The person can physically see, oh wow, in the inverted row, I used to be so upright, now I'm so much lower. So then for the push-up, they can be, oh wow, I was really up high here in the rack, now I'm able to do push-ups on the floor. And then for the lunges, maybe they were doing partial reps at the very beginning, and now they're able to do it with 30 pounds a hand, and that's crazy already. So those are my top 3 movements that I firmly believe that every beginner should prioritize. Again, there are many variations or regressions and progressions to go about this, but as you do these 3 movements, you just have to make sure that you do the appropriate level or the appropriate intensity, because I don't want you to leave this video say, oh, I have to do push-ups that are on the floor already. Oh, I have to do the dumbbell variation of the lunge already. No, as a beginner, your main goal is to make sure that you're doing everything well. You don't have to push yourself so hard, so early on in your fitness journey or in your lifting career. Yes, down the line, you do have to work harder, especially if you're leaving the beginner stage of your workouts, of your fitness journey. The intensity of your workouts has to increase. It has to. You have to sweat much more. You have to struggle or work for that last few reps much more down the line. Emphasis on down the line. If you are a beginner, if you want a specific time frame, if you're in the 1 to 3 month, the first 1 to 3 months of your fitness journey, you don't. I mean, of course, I don't want it. Don't misinterpret what I'm trying to say. Na, oh, coach said I have to go super duper easy. I shouldn't even sweat. No, I'm not saying that. You still have to work to some extent, but I don't want you to work so hard that your technique is going to go to shit. That's primarily the reason why I don't want people or beginners to struggle, because when they struggle, since they don't know how to maintain their technique for long, they're going to lose their technique so early on. And if they do that again and again, that's when they learn, or that's when they formulate bad habits. And it's so hard to fix bad habits. So at the very beginning, once again, if you're 1 to 3 months into your fitness journey, your number one priority is to just do everything right. How can you ensure that you're doing everything right? By making sure that you're doing the appropriate variation. You don't have to rush to go to do the lowest inverted row, to do the push-up on the floor with 25 pounds on your back, or you don't have to lift a barbell already on the first session of your walking lunges. No, that's not the case. You have to prioritize proper technique. That's always going to be the best thing that you can do when you're starting out. Because once you form that foundation, once you've done 3 months of solid work of just these 3 movements, and if you were to ask me 3 to 4 times a week of just these 3 movements, I can guarantee that you are going to look and feel different after 3 months of being very, very methodical about these 3 exercises, without a doubt. Normally, it's not wise to guarantee anything in the fitness industry, because of course there are a lot of nuances out there. But if you meet those conditions, that if hopefully if you have a coach or a friend that has a watchful eye, or a good say on how to perform the push-up, the inverted row, and the walking lunge, guarantee that you are gonna look and feel different at the end of 3 months, or especially if you're able to maintain this or continue to progress 6 months down the line. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so much better for you. Everything, you're gonna look better, you're gonna be stronger in every single way. And I guess that's about it. This I didn't know that I was gonna last around 20 or close to 30 minutes for this episode, because it's just talking about 3 movements. But if you wanted to really understand nitty gritty details, it's not really nitty or gritty, it's just the details of why I firmly believe that the push-up, the inverted row, and the lunges are the best exercises, then here you go. I'm sure these are my opinions were formed by my own experiences. I'm pretty sure that a lot of other people have different experiences, different valid experiences and valid reasons on why they might contest what I'm saying. But if you want my advice on the matter, I believe that you just stick to those 3 movements and everything should be solid already. But yeah, anyway, this is my 3rd episode. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this one as well as the first 2 episodes. First one was the pilot, obviously. 2nd episode was with my buddy Raymond Debuque. Hopefully you guys got to check those episodes out. If not, then there'll be the 2 episodes prior to this one. I hope you guys can check those out as well. And you can expect a new episode every Sunday. I guess I was going to say Sunday Philippine time, but I guess Sunday is the same for almost everyone, I guess. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next episode.